Welcome everyone to Haven of Horror. As always, I'm subject. You got Robert, Clarice, uh, and Noah Hannibal. I don't know.
I love that you gave up on the name thing. You
Hello,
just called him
Clarice.
Robert Clarice.
Yeah,
Didn't even say his last name.
fine. Uh, so even though I gave you the nickname of Clarice for this one, we're not doing Silence of the Lambs. We've already done Silence of the Lambs. We are doing the prequel, which is actually just the first book, and the what would you call it? First adaptation of any Hannibal book.
Yeah,
Manhunter.
Yeah.
it's the forgotten one.
It
Hmm.
is.
I didn't know about this movie for many years. I
Me
had no
neither.
idea this thing existed.
Yeah.
I
Um,
first hear about this a few years ago. I was like, oh, I'm curious just on the cast. Like, I already have kind of the definitive adaptation of Red Dragon, but I'm curious. So, Robert, I'm curious because you have not read the book, and I don't remember the book because it's been a long time. Which version did you end up preferring?
Well, of the two movies, like you said, I haven't read the book. I also haven't seen the TV show where this material would once again be adapted for a
Adapted.
third time. So that version I haven't seen yet.
I have a feeling
But
that's
as far
probably the best one.
Probably. I'm looking forward to finally watching that show. But as far as these two movies go, I actually prefer Manhunter over Red Dragon. Red Dragon's good. We'll obviously get to it later. Like, if you want more of the book, to my understanding, that's probably the version you'll prefer. And of course, you get Anthony Hopkins, and it's part of that run. Like, it's a movie that absolutely has a reason to exist, and I'm glad we have it for those reasons. But just as a standalone piece, as a film, Manhunter is just more my vibe. I like Michael Mann's style a lot. It's very 80s, a lot of neon. It's very Miami Vice era Michael Mann, and it's interesting seeing how he adapted this book, like what elements he clearly latched onto and was more interested in, compared to what Silence of the Lambs and the rest of this franchise would be, where Michael Mann's film is very like it's more crime drama. Like that's the side of the book that clearly interested him. That's more his sensibilities. Like this is more of a crime drama movie than it is a horror movie, though it has those creepy elements. Then Silence of the Lambs really leans into like the weird gothic horror atmosphere, which is kind of what this franchise would continue to be after that. So comparing them is really interesting. And as for like Hannibal Lecter himself, like the approach we get here could not be more different from what we
He's
get with
barely
Hopkins,
in this.
and he's not in it much. He's only in it a few
mhm.
scenes. But yeah, and also in terms of why I do prefer this version, the main reason is William Peterson as Will Graham. I love Will Graham in this movie, and of course, I haven't seen the TV show yet. That's probably the best version. But Edward Norton and Red Dragon, like I like. That's good casting. I obviously couldn't tell you which one's closer to the book, but William Peterson really leans into the unhinged like on the
Yeah.
edge version of this character who could snap at any moment. And of course, I'm a huge fan of that actor from CSI and shows like that. So long time William Peterson fan. So just seeing him in this movie is such a treat for me. So it's the one I prefer. But if you want more of the book, I mean, I'm glad Red Dragon exists. Like it's cool to have both. It's interesting.
Mhm.
Yeah, you know what I'm gonna say. I liked Red Dragon better.
Yeah, of course.
Funnily enough, I found William Peterson kind of bland in this movie. Uh,
Interesting.
I think he should have played it because you'll understand this reference. Almost more like his character in CSI, where he's kind of an eccentric, like
He's more quirky.
quirky, but also unhinged a little bit because of his empathy, his ability to get into the mind of killers more, which they definitely downplay here. Whereas in Red Dragon and in the show, it's almost like a superpower. Whereas like
Yeah, kind of.
he's
Although I don't
empathetic to the
know.
point of like he becomes that person.
But I
I,
get I personally get more of that in this version. Like Edward Norton's take, I
yeah.
think, is more put together, and kind of standard likable protagonist. I never feel like he's about to snap. But
I
that's
was
just
gonna
my
say,
opinion, of course.
I'd, as someone who has not read the book or seen Red Dragon, I'll only be here for the first movie tonight, guys. But
Yeah,
uh,
bastard.
I I got the sense that the Peterson version it didn't really downplay the getting into the mind of the serial killer aspect. I'd say that that stuff is just less, or it's a bit more like visual than it is. There's not a lot of like explaining,
Mhm.
and it's hard. Like, yeah, I haven't seen Red Dragon, so it's hard for me to compare it to that. But
And this one's definitely a slow burn.
yeah, this is a very slow paced movie. I really dug it. But yeah, no, it. I thought that they captured that aspect of the character pretty well in this version.
Anime fan says the masked character in the background looks like Daredevil and the Phantom.
It's Hannibal Lecter.
I'm pretty sure he's talking about the dude with the mask on his face.
Yeah.
Who is Hannibal
Yeah,
Lecter?
What?
that's not Hannibal, Noah.
I thought he was talking about your Blu-ray in the background.
No,
Oh, he's
remember
talking about the YouTube background.
the
Not,
YouTube
not
background. No.
Okay. Right.
you are
Yeah.
confused.
I'm barely.
You were
paying
misled.
attention.
All right, is everybody ready?
Now I'm ready.
Noah, are you conscious and able to keep up?
Yes. You want me
In
here for both movies, and I'm not gonna be conscious if I do both. But
in three, two, one, play. And I'm going to keep an eye on what you guys were saying on this because that was just one viewing impression, so we'll see. But I love Ralph Fiennes. I don't know how you say his last name.
Ray
Uh,
Fiennes.
Ray Fiennes is
Ray Fiennes
fantastic.
in Red Dragon.
Yeah, and we won't talk about that too much on this one, but just for context for Noah, that's another difference is Red Dragon, you get a lot more backstory for the serial killer for the Ray Fiennes version, and you spend a lot more time with
Okay.
him, which works for that movie, and it's totally fine, and I'm sure closer to the book. Here, they keep this character a lot more mysterious and vague, and they
Yeah.
hold off on showing him for a really long time. But for what little you get, I think Tom Noonan is really good in this
Oh,
version.
Tom Noonan is
I
good.
think he's disturbing.
Mhm.
He
Wait
gives.
till you see the Ralph Fiennes version.
They're disturbing in their own way.
And last thing I will say about that about Red Dragon Noah is what is that guy's name from Twister and Mission Impossible 3?
Oh, Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Yes, he's in that movie and he's awesome.
He's great. Perfect casting.
I love Philip Seymour Hoffman.
He's the journalist character.
Oh, he okay. So he gets set on
Yeah,
fire.
the scummy guy.
Yes.
Right off the bat, too, listening to the music, you can tell that
Ellis
this
is an
movie
80s
was.
movie.
You can tell
Goes
this
full
was
synth
squarely
score.
made in the decade of the 80s. But I really like the score of this movie. It's very foreboding, kind of has like a John Carpenter kind of feel to it. Very cool.
Noah, do you know one director that was offered this who turned it down?
No.
David Lynch. And
Oh, that would have been great.
would have been interesting. He turned this down because he found the material too violent.
Oh, okay.
That's interesting.
Because he also did Blue Velvet, which is pretty seedy.
Yeah.
Okay.
I,
That makes sense though, because this is a De Laurentiis movie, so he's probably working with them during that time.
that might have been good. I can't see Lynch doing something with this that I would have liked for this material.
Mhm. But and as we'll get into, even though there is a ton of stuff omitted from this version, I think in terms of dialogue and plot, though, like this does stick
This
until
hits
the
most
ending.
of the major
It sticks pretty close
beats.
to the book. Yeah. But right off the bat, it's like you're watching a Michael Mann movie because we got a beach.
No, Michael Mann is a director I want to dive more into. I've only seen this and Heat, and I watched Heat a long time
I've
ago.
only seen this.
But
my favorite of his is Collateral. That's like a movie you guys
I
both
gotta
need
see
to
I
Collateral.
remember
watch.
seeing commercials for that all over the place when that movie was coming out. I was like, oh, I want to see that, and then I never did.
I really want to watch. Not I was about to say Heat. Thief with James Caan, because that was kind of
Interesting.
during that same era, and it has a little bit of the same kind of aesthetic this does. Um, I've seen a bit of Miami Vice, which is a really goofy, cheesy show, and this kind of struck me as like a Miami Vice episode that turned more into a horror movie.
I
The
have
rubber-
seen his Miami Vice movie, and I love it.
Forgot he made that. What I find a lot of missing here is, and I'm gonna sound like a broken record because I said this with the remakes, the character stuff. Like we don't get a lot of the Hannibal and Will connection other than a couple lines of dialogue. Will's family is like barely in this.
Oh, they're
In
in
this?
this. I think they're in this version a lot more. That's some of the strengths I think of this version. This is much more of Will's story than the other movie is. I think. Like this scene really takes its time setting up who this guy is, and Jack asking him back. This scene goes by pretty quickly in the Red Dragon version.
It does, but that's. I think it's easier to do that because you've already got a sense of A, why he retired, and B, who he is as a character. Because I really think you need that opening with him and Lecter that Red Dragon has.
That's fair. I also don't know if that's in the book or not, or if it's just talked about.
I think it might be.
I assume the book.
It's been
I assume
a
the
while.
book doesn't open that way.
Let me see if I can find out.
But like Will's son, you get a lot more of in this version than Red Dragon. In Red Dragon, he's barely in it.
Yeah, and I can't compare it to the other version, but the family is definitely a big part of this one.
Just going off of the wiki summary, that is how the book starts. Is with him and.
Interesting.
And as we all know, we can trust Wikipedia.
At this point,
Right.
the Hannibal books are so niche, just in terms of the actual books, that I don't think anybody's going in and editing false information.
But also, I am aware though that the Red Dragon movie does add a lot of Hannibal scenes that aren't in the book because it's Anthony Hopkins and it's tied to those movies. So they do beef up his role quite a bit.
The worst is, and we'll talk about it more there. The worst is the ending.
Yeah, the prequelitis ending.
Oh, did they do like a
So
lamb tease?
Yeah.
So at the very end, somebody comes. Spoilers for Red Dragon, everybody. But at the very end, somebody comes into Hannibal's cell and says, "There's somebody here to talk to you." I don't.
Yeah.
I told them you'd probably say no, but I figured I'd ask. Do they actually say Clarice's name? I don't remember.
No, the last line of the movie is Anthony Hopkins saying, "What's her name?" It's
Yeah, they did that.
Which of course leads right into the smash hit show Clarice.
Of course.
Kurtzman.
I keep forgetting that show exists.
I remember every once in a while and then laugh to myself.
The only way I'd watch that show is if it's a sequel to the Hannibal book, where it's just her and Hannibal Lecter on the run together, because that would be unhinged.
It would be. I also heard that show wasn't allowed to reference Hannibal Lecter specifically, but they have the dog. They have Buffalo Bill's dog.
So, because that, yes, because that goes both ways. There was a lot of worry that if the Hannibal show had gotten to season 4, would they be able to use Clarice? I don't know why that specific character is separate from the rest. But...
Okay, yeah, I wonder what the right situation is with that. I had no idea it was even like tangled in a mess like that.
Yeah.
Okay, the real question is, guys, when are we going to cover Silence the musical?
Oh god,
I don't even know what that is.
Yeah. But
I like the blue look here.
It's very blue, and like I said, you do get a lot more with Will and his family up top in this version. I like the scene a lot when his wife is kind of mad at Jack for asking him back, and bringing it back into this world. You get a lot more of that character stuff on Will's side. In the Red Dragon movie, his wife's not really a three-dimensional character. She's just kind of there, and then at the end gets to do something.
She gets her Killer Croc moment.
She really does. And that's probably in the book. I don't know.
Yeah,
You can also tell that this is the 80s version because this movie is like 20 times more horny than the 2000s version.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's like no sex scenes in Red Dragon. It's all just
Part
implied.
of me figured that they would maybe go further with that stuff just because it was made later, but
No, it leans more into like the gory stuff.
It's that typical 2000s. Gore is fine, but you cannot show sex.
Yeah. I also think, and this isn't a criticism of Red Dragon, but I think they did tone down some stuff as a reaction to Hannibal, where they were like, okay, let's play this one more straight. Let's not go too weird with it. Like,
those were
That's
Hannibal was a very polarizing movie.
with something like that. It's so hard for me to decide that because Red Dragon and Silence of the Lambs, and it's weird because it's kind of the same story just twice in a row. And then he had to come back and do a third one, and he just like jumps the shark. So it's like, is Red Dragon toned down because of Hannibal, or is it just that's the source material that's more toned down and sane? Now I will give you the one thing that I liked about this movie more than Red Dragon is the style. This has a better style to it.
Is your hot take that Michael Mann may be a better director than Brett Ratner? Oh my!
I mean,
God.
Brett Ratner did direct the best X-Men movie, so you know.
I also don't think stream right now.
I also don't think his direction's awful or anything. It's just like,
no,
yeah, it's a competently made movie. He had a perfect script to work with. He just shot the damn thing.
Yeah,
Brett Ratner's movies tend to look competently made, you know. We're just talking about him versus Michael Mann.
Right.
Well, to be fair, I also don't like. I'm sure Michael Mann is a better director. This is the only film of his that I've seen, so I can't really comment on that.
For sure.
But like, this is a perfect example of a scene that I prefer in this version. Again, I like the slow burn. I like the melancholy tone. In Red Dragon, they add like jump scare noises and some quick editing, and you're like, eh. Like, it's not horrible. You're just like, yeah. It's more like we're making a horror movie. Here's horror stuff. This is just a bit more calm.
And like you were saying earlier, it's very much informed by the success of Silence of the Lambs.
Right.
The Hopkins series is just so weird to me because they start with the second book, and so the entire franchise is now defined by the second book.
Yes. Well, to what you were saying earlier, what's the name of this author?
Thomas
Harris.
Thomas Harris, yeah.
Thomas Harris. So, like you were saying earlier, how this and Silence of the Lambs, they are kind of the same story. It does feel like when he wrote that second book, he was just recycling a lot of his ideas and kind of improving on it. But in terms of like, yeah, it's a serial killer story where a protagonist goes to Hannibal Lecter, this other serial killer locked up for advice. It's like he hits a lot of the same beats.
Yeah.
But maybe he just saw Silence of the Lambs as an improvement. And I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah,
but
and I'd be curious because in some ways, I'd have to go back and read them. But in some ways, obviously, Silence just on a story level is better. But what I like about Red Dragon Noir is the investigator having that history with Lecter, and like he's the one that put him away.
Yeah, because in Silence you get a more traditional like Eisen protagonist coming into this world. But then with the success of that movie, it's like everything is riffing on that movie, Silence of the Lambs. Like Batman Long Halloween, you know, when he goes to talk to Calendar Man for advice, or the Matt Reeves film, The Batman. It's all like, yeah, we're doing Silence of the Lambs. It's like, but you're actually doing Red Dragon. First in Red Dragon. You're actually doing Red Dragon, and no one says that.
Somebody should start pulling from Hannibal. Like, give me some crazy shit. I want to see a guy feed somebody their own brain. Like, come on. can't believe they got Ridley Scott to direct that movie.
It was an interesting choice.
So I think this is probably an easy performance to overlook or not really appreciate. But he's doing a lot by not playing it up to the camera. It's a pretty understated performance.
Yeah, that's what I like about it. He always comes off as pretty tortured to me. Like he's just kind of holding it together.
Yeah, I mean, even that scene when he's like, he just hears the phone message, you can just see a lot on his face.
Mm-hmm.
And he's not like mugging to the camera or anything. He's just playing it naturally.
Robert, I am fascinated to watch the Hannibal show with you.
I can't wait. I need to finally get to it.
That is a show that does use a lot of weird visuals to show that whole empathy thing, and it plays that up a lot more.
I really like Peterson's performance in this scene too.
Mm. In the Hannibal show, does Will already have a son at the start of that, or does that come later? Do they build up to his family more?
I think they build up to that because Red Dragon is the final season.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking to Noah about this earlier. The first season is just him and Hannibal like solving crimes together.
Which that is a status quo I'm fascinated to see.
And it's weird that Thomas Harris never wrote that book. Instead, we got an origin story. We got Hannibal Rising. You know,
And that I'm pretty
got
sure is another case of he just wrote it so they'd make the movie.
right, and he actually wrote the screenplay for the movie, which is interesting.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm scared to go back to that. But that's another movie that's got to fit into the Hopkins.
The Hopkins version, yeah.
We got to do the mask, and it's the worst one.
Yeah. You know, it would have been silly. It probably would have been bad. It'd been kind of cool if we got one last movie with Hopkins that could have been like a team up with Julianne Moore's Clarice and Ed Norton's Will Graham. I'd watch that movie.
I'd watch it.
Now, but like 10 years ago, that could have been fun.
Well, the real thing that would get me to care is if you brought Jodie Foster back, but she probably wouldn't want to do it.
Definitely not.
What I want at this
Julianne
point,
Moore, I do like her, but I prefer Jodie Foster's Clarice.
Oh,
what I want at this point is just because it's I don't think it's too late. Is just a Silence of the Lambs remake, but with the Hannibal show cast.
that's all you need to do.
That's what they were building to, I assume.
Well, that was going to be season 4.
Yeah, I figured because that would have been the next one.
But like this is a scene though where I think William Peterson is really selling like getting in that headspace of this killer. Like, God, she's beautiful, isn't she? You know, like touching her and kind of getting that headspace. Edward Norton, I don't get that as much. Again, not that he's bad.
Yeah.
He plays it more like a traditional investigator to me. Here, you can tell like this guy is just a little off. And I know that stuff they really play up in the show.
Well, there's so much you can read into him just by looking at his face and how he's saying these lines. It's almost at first you assume that he's like pissed at the guy.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's like, oh, is he actually kind of getting into this too? Like, is he?
Yeah,
enjoying
there's a slight like sick smile,
sick, perverse way. Yeah.
But like on paper, these scenes are 1-to-1 the same in both versions. Figuring out, oh, he took off the gloves and opened her eyes and stuff like that. And script, like it's like they're very similar with these moments. And earlier talking about the production of this film, of course, this was a Dino De Laurentiis production. This movie didn't do well at all. It didn't cost a lot, but it flopped, it bombed, came and went quick. So Dino De Laurentiis sold the rights, and then somebody else made Silence of the Lambs. And then at some point between Silence of the Lambs, the movie, and Hannibal, Dino De Laurentiis gets the rights back and then produces the rest of the movies. So he produces all the movies except for Silence of the Lambs, the most successful, critically acclaimed one.
You saw how successful that one was. He was like, hey, I want a little bit of that. Oh, Dino. Even this FBI meeting room just looks really cool. You got like the green curtain in the background.
Michael, why is there green neon on the curtains? Shut up.
Shut up.
It's my vision.
Looks cool. Also, you got one of my favorite character actors in this movie, Dennis Farina. As
Oh, is he playing Jack?
yeah, as Crawford.
Yeah.
I actually didn't know until recently. He used to be a cop, but he's got
Oh,
such
in
a
real
great
life?
in real life, yeah.
That's awesome.
But he's got such a great screen presence, and yeah, I wouldn't have never have guessed he just wasn't an actor, like a trained actor before this.
That'll be our next video. Ranking the Jack Crawford portrayals in the Silence of the
Yeah.
Lambs franchise. Because in the next movie, it's Scott Glenn, who's great. And then in Red Dragon, it's Harvey Keitel. They couldn't get Scott Glenn for some reason.
I mean, the obvious choice is the Hannibal show. It's Lawrence Fishburne.
And that's Lawrence Fishburne. There you go.
I mean, those are all pretty good actors.
All good actors.
Yeah.
It's hard to choose.
So, Robert, what do you think this franchise looks like if this movie does make money? Like, do we get a Silence of the Lambs with this Hannibal?
Probably, and it's like, I mean, in my opinion, this movie was very overlooked and unappreciated when it came out. But yeah, I think if this was successful, Silence of the Lambs would have also been successful. Probably would have came and went, and then that might have been the end of it.
I don't think
I
Hannibal happens if this movie is a success.
I don't think so. Like, it's hard for me to imagine a sequel to this being the phenomenon that we got with Silence of the Lambs. That was just kind of a perfect storm with Anthony Hopkins and just certain choices.
And I do have to say, as much as I do like the Hannibal in this, I don't know if he could have carried a movie the way Hopkins does.
Yeah, like, I think it would have worked, but he wouldn't have been the talking point, right? He wouldn't have been the thing. Because for Silence of the Lambs, many people go into that movie, myself included, like, oh, that's the Hannibal Lecter movie. You don't even know about Buffalo Bill.
Like, the Hannibal Lecter franchise.
Right. Oh,
and he's just like a reoccurring character for most of it.
Yeah. This fucking Weasley guy. This reporter guy played by Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Not in this movie, but yeah.
That haircut's a choice.
Freddie Lowndes.
You can say that. You can say that a lot about the stylistic and fashion choices of the '80s, John. There's certainly a choice.
But like in Red Dragon, Edward Norton, he just grabs him and kind of yells at him. In this one, William Pearson throws him out of a fucking car and smashes a windshield. And the only other thing I know about Freddie Lowndes is that they made that character a woman in the Hannibal show.
Oh, yes, I remember her now. I forgot that's where she comes from. Because that show, one of the cool things about that show is it will take characters from later installments. Like the Vergers show up in season 2, and those are the villains from Hannibal of all things. You know what? No, I changed my mind. Screw the Silence of the Lambs remake with the Hannibal cast. I want the Hannibal movie with that cast.
Just skip
Hannibal. I want to see what their take looks like. How do you fix that?
Yeah. So
Here we got the McDonald's commercial announcer as Hannibal Lecter.
Sure. This is so weird, but it's so interesting. Just how different this approach is.
I really like it.
I like
Closer to
it,
the
but with the
book.
caveat that just in performance, this is not how I see Hannibal at all. He should be high society, sophisticated. This guy just comes off as a dude.
Well, I think he was modeling his performance more off of like a real serial killer than he was looking at the book, but he plays him like such an asshole.
He's just a dick.
I mean, that's Hannibal.
I mean,
Yeah, but it sounds Lamb's like you're kind of rooting for him. Like he's just so much fun to watch. Here you're like, oh, this guy's a dick. Like, I mean, the eating people thing, like that was already like not cool. Like I wouldn't do that, that. But he's at least fun to watch in the next movie, and this one you just hate him.
I've always seen Hannibal as a character that
it's
sees
realistic to
himself
hate him.
better than everyone around him. I
Hmm.
don't
Yeah.
get that
Well,
from this guy.
I do. No, I do get that quality,
I
just
get
in a
that.
much more douchey way. Like you said, definitely less high society. But he's like,
This
God,
guy
you're so
mingle with high society while also being a cannibal.
His performance also just isn't as like scenery chewing as Hopkins, for
Mhm.
lack of a better term. It's a lot more just playing it straight.
Mhm.
Well,
And
because
also, you only get like 3 scenes with him.
yeah, because no, you haven't seen Red Dragon or read the books, but in the books, the idea is he just lived in high society the whole time while doing these things, and nobody had a clue. Like he's the
Yeah.
last person you would suspect of doing this. This guy, no, he'd be like the first person I'm suspecting.
He's just kind of a creep.
Because I do think a lot of the scenery chewing is just Anthony Hopkins being Anthony Hopkins. But
Mhm.
Yeah. And this is very much Brian Cox just being Brian Cox. Because, I
yeah,
don't know. This is almost like if his Succession character was a serial killer.
yeah. And this isn't fair to the movie. This is just because Anthony Hopkins is in my head. He looks really young to be Hannibal Lecter. Maybe it's just because I'm so used to Anthony Hopkins, but
Well, this is definitely the youngest I've seen Brian Cox in anything.
same.
Yeah, he's probably like about 50 here. And the set design here, again, it's so different from what comes later. Again, this is probably closer to the book and more realistic, but just
Probably
everything's just white
the
and
problem with the Red
sterile and
Dragon
smart.
movie is that the prison is another prequelitis thing, where this is just the set from Silence of the Lambs.
I assume it's the exact same cell.
Which is fine, but we're in there a lot.
Yeah,
It's like, in case you forgot.
I'm pretty sure it is just the exact same cell.
But
Okay,
here, it's just so sterile and probably more realistic.
Yeah.
And then in Silence of the Lambs, like it's a dungeon.
Yeah.
You go underground. Like,
Yeah.
it's awesome. And I know like the glass wall instead of like the prison bars like we see here. The glass was done just to not cut off their performances, just so you could see him in frame in full. Like, so that is a production choice that's definitely not in the book. Just for the sake of filming.
God, now I want to
I
read
still
these books again.
I still like the way the scene's shot though, like the blocking, like with them both dead center here, just
in
cutting
between the
back
bars,
and forth.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I like this a lot.
Yeah, it's used well here, but if you had to do this with Clarice for like that whole fucking movie, I could see how obnoxious that would have been to shoot.
And I think that is part of the, even though he's probably in it too much, I think what makes Will Graham interesting is when you're comparing and contrasting him to Hannibal Lecter. And since we're not doing a lot of that here, it's like, this is good, but give me
This
that
moment right here.
Yeah, again, he's such an asshole. He's like, "Oh, would you like to leave your home phone number?" Like, fuck you.
Fuck you, Hannibal.
But like scenes like this
I mean,
though, he
yeah.
really gets in Will's head and kind of
Mhm.
freaks him out. In Red Dragon, it does feel like just more standard villain talk dialogue, like we're the same, Will, and I don't know, I don't really
But
feel it.
see, that
Uh,
I bought that more because we see that they've had a history.
yeah, and that's fair. It's just
You think?
with Will himself, I feel more of the pain this guy's going through.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of get that history through their performance anyway.
Mm.
Um, and I really like that moment where he runs out of the room.
In a museum, I mean prison.
Yeah,
I don't know why they shot this at a museum, but it looks cool.
I think you just
that doesn't
answered your own
surprise me at
question.
all.
But like that's a great choice when you get his POV for a second, where like the grass is out of focus.
Oh, they printed a screenshot from the movie in the newspaper.
Yeah, I
How did
think
they get
the
that?
thing that I'm missing from this is I need to know why Hannibal has such an effect on him, and I don't know what their backstory is in this
Well, we're just holding off on it. That just comes a lot later.
movie. Oh, do that? Okay.
That's fair. Yeah,
This
they
is
do.
why I watch movies
It's
more than
it's
one time.
also
Because
it's also just the idea that Graham thinks he is, or is worried that he is as crazy as Hannibal.
Mm. He's worried that he gets off on the violence, I think.
Right.
And they'll have that conversation later about like he doesn't want to like killing, which is something he hasn't had to do a lot. But that definitely haunts him.
okay, so we're on the phone scene. I have a question about
Yep,
this, just because I don't
I do
know.
too.
So he's gonna use like a stick of gum and put it in the phone, and that's somehow going to hack the phone.
Yeah,
What?
the red. Yeah, the Red Dragon movie does the scene differently. My assumption is that this happens in the book, but it's done very vaguely, and we don't know how. Where it's like, Hannibal hacked the phone and talked to this
Yeah,
lady.
like
I don't know.
is this does this work?
I don't know.
I like it in constant theory because it shows this is a very crafty.
He's very smart. I probably right on that though, right? Like the book tells us he did this, but it doesn't tell us
Probably,
how he did this. So in the
yeah.
movie, they're like, I don't know.
I don't know though. I do get the sense that this guy could have been a high society guy in the past, but he's got more of that
Yeah,
assholeness about him.
like the way he plays the scene is so differently than Hopkins does. Where here he's such an asshole.
But he's more the like high society guy that like has his nose, stuck up
Yeah,
at,
the snooty.
the snooty
Anthony
guys. Yeah.
Hopkins is more gentleman,
Yes.
old fashioned,
Right, but how did this guy
chivalrous.
lure people in to eat them?
True.
Some girls
Yeah.
find it hot. Some people like that overconfident.
I'm not one to judge.
No, Noah would go with this Hannibal Lecter.
This is a good reaction gif here. The face he makes.
What I love about Red Dragon and Silence kind of being back to back like remakes of each other is both of them just end up like kind of a three-way contest between a cop, a killer, and Hannibal. Because he does the same thing to both of them.
And if you assumed this scene on this plane was a set, you'd be incorrect. They shot the scene guerrilla style. They just brought a couple of people with a camera and some equipment and just shot this really quickly on a real fucking plane.
Oh,
Because
really?
this movie
That's
was made on the cheap, so
that's
scenes like this,
insane.
it's just went on a plane, did this for real. Had just a couple actors.
Okay, so maybe this is me just not understanding budget, but to be fair, Robert, you should point out, according to Wikipedia, this movie had a bigger budget than. Hold on, I clicked the wrong thing. Oh wait, this movie almost had the same budget as Silence of the Lambs.
That's
There's
true.
only about a $5 million difference. And I think that's kind of what killed it because it only made 8 million.
Yeah, I don't know if it just came out at the wrong time or was poorly marketed. But like this is a scene that I love where it's just so awkward but very real, where he just falls asleep and all these crime scene photos
Yeah.
are out and he traumatizes this child. Like it's such a human mistake, and it's like, oh, that sucks.
Put your gore video away, sir.
I think I'm gonna start the Hannibal show after I finish SPD. I'm in the mood for this stuff now.
What a tonal whiplash there, going from Power Rangers to fucking Hannibal.
Same thing.
When are we gonna get the Hannibal Power Rangers crossover?
When is Anthony Hopkins gonna play Ivan Ooze?
Oh my god, you know how good that would be?
That's just a match made in heaven.
Noah, he could deliver your favorite line. It smells like teenagers.
And then the Brian Cox version of Ivan Ooze would be very different.
Yeah.
A lot more just of an asshole.
Well, then we have to remake it again so Mads Mikkelsen can play him.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Mads Mikkelsen is Ivan Ooze? That'd be horrifying.
That would be the dark and serious, like, down-to-earth Ivan Ooze.
Yeah. And then they'll do a prequel where some nobody plays him.
So, Noah, do you... Oh, sorry, go on.
Real quick, just before we get off that topic. I would actually kill for a Power Rangers prequel that is, like, Zordon focused. And you could make, like, Ivan Ooze the bad guy, because it mentions they have history together.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Because there's some Zordon stuff in the comics that's, like, prequel stuff that's really cool.
You just really want to see Ivan Ooze back on screen again.
I do, like, so badly.
I don't blame you. He's great. That tree branch just hit the camera.
What was this movie made by a hack?
It was made by Brett Ratner.
Oh. And then Michael Mann made Red Dragon.
But Noah, do you know why this movie isn't titled Red Dragon? Do you know why it was changed to Manhunter?
So wasn't it because they thought people would think it's a kung fu movie or something?
Yeah, that's what William Peterson said, and I can believe that in the context of when this was made, because there were a lot of kung fu movies with dragon in the title, so that also makes sense.
Yeah.
I also hear that Dino De Laurentiis, because he previously produced the movie Year of the Dragon, which bombed horribly, he was like, people don't want to see dragon pictures. Get dragon out of the title. And knowing how insane Dino De Laurentiis was, I can believe that.
I buy it.
I can believe both stories.
That's oddly specific enough. And, based on certain demands he made on the Maximum Overdrive set, we know how specific his tastes are.
Mm-hmm. Well, but that's what makes those first two books interesting, and then translated to film, it's like those are very classic, like artsy book titles, where you have to read the book to know what it, like Red Dragon and Silence of the Lambs. And then you get to the last two books, and it's the studio Hannibal Rising.
Hannibal.
That's what it is.
You're here to see the cannibal guy, right? Yeah, just call it Hannibal.
Okay, so I lied. I have seen another Michael Mann movie, but I was like 8. The Last of the Mohicans. I have seen that. I should give that another watch because 8-year-old me thought it was the most boring thing on the planet. But I didn't realize that was him.
Yeah, that was his first like big hit. That's what kind of solidified him as like a movie director. Because before, like, besides like this movie, he had worked on TV and such.
Right.
And here we get our one scene with Dr. Chilton in this movie.
I do
He's
find
fine.
myself missing, Robert, one of the downsides to, and I guess maybe another reason that you'd have to change the name, or maybe the script comes from changing the name, is all the stuff with like the tattoo and him, what they mean by him changing is not here.
That's one thing I wanted to ask you about. So the scene with the red dragon tattoo, that's not in the extended cut either.
No, so there's only one big difference, and that's at the end of the movie. There's an extra scene where he goes to visit the next set of victims,
Okay,
and
interesting.
check on them. And it's kind of ambivalent. It's like, is he still in that mind space, or is it Will Graham?
Interesting. Because I know that they did shoot the scene with Tom Noonan shirtless with the tattoo. It was just cut out for some reason.
Maybe
So I
that
guess that's
goes
something
to the,
newer.
well, we can't have any red dragon in our red dragon.
Yeah, right. And I just go all the way. But what's interesting though is like there are famously two red dragon paintings, one from the back and one from the front. They used the one from the front for this movie, even though it was cut out. And then in the next movie, it's the one from the back that's on his back. I don't know if the book specifies which painting
I
it is,
don't
but that's
remember,
interesting.
but I do know the actual physical painting that you see. That's like the book cover.
Okay. But yeah, it is funny that Dr. Chilton's kind of a non-character in this movie, and then in Silence of the Lambs, they really beef him up as this sleazy, swarmy guy who you hate.
This is
Uh,
just kind of a guy.
he's just a guy.
Because I actually forgot that this was a character in Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah, that's another one where I'm curious if in the book he's more three-dimensional, because in the movie it's like, no, he's an asshole and you're rooting for Hannibal to eat that guy at the end.
Oh yeah.
Oh, interesting. You know what's also crazy to think about? Uh, this guy's like written 6 books since the
Yeah,
'80s.
apparently he just kind of keeps to himself, which I
Well,
respect.
Stephen King is apparently knows Harris because he said, if writing is sometimes tedious for other authors, for Harris it is writing on the floor in agonies of frustration, because for Harris the very act of writing is a kind of torment. So apparently he really hates what he does.
But he's good. Write another book, Tom.
He
Fuck your
did write
ratings.
Oh
a
no.
non Hannibal book in 2019, his first book in 13 years.
Wow. Yeah, I respect that.
Yeah, and it's not a Hannibal book.
But scenes like this, I really enjoy. Just early crime scene stuff with like this 80s dated technology.
Yeah, that is one thing about Red Dragon, is because it's in the 2000s. It's just 2000s crime technology. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
I've
Well,
seen this a million times.
yeah, they also play it very vague, just with the timeline. Because the opening, when Hannibal gets captured, they do say is in the 80s, and then the rest of the movie is several years later. So they're really vague with when that movie is supposed to be
In
set
the
because
not too distant
being a
future.
prequel.
Even this scene just is lit so cool.
Yeah, I love it.
Like look
And
at this
so
fucking laser.
it's so awesome. And some of this dialogue is like word for word the same in Red Dragon, so I assume that's lifted just straight from the book. Like,
Yeah,
you think you're
definitely.
sly,
So
but so am I. Like that, they're very similar.
I do need to reread the book, because it'd be funny if it's like a Bourne situation, where in books Bourne is like in his 50s and is not really an action guy, and then when we make the movies, it's just Matt Damon. Yeah, do you know about that, Noah?
No.
Yeah, in the books, Jason Bourne is in like his 50s, almost 60s, and it's just like
Oh really?
a spy, like James Bond spy. He's not, fighting people, and like he spends most of it just chasing down leads on his clues. So when they made the movies, it's just Matt Damon. He's
Matt
Jason
Damon.
Bourne.
He's a lot younger. I like, though, I'm kind of a sucker for token scenes like this. in movies where it's just showcasing professionals doing what they do
Mhm.
well, being really good at it.
Yeah, and this appeals to my sensibilities growing up on shows like CSI. It very much feels like a
Yeah.
precursor to that.
Is this a prequel to CSI? Did Will Graham just change his name and
Yeah,
go to
I
Las
believe that.
Vegas?
So is he in the original CSI, not like Miami or
Oh,
No,
yeah,
he's the
he's the
original.
first one.
Okay.
He was my
Yeah,
favorite
that's like
character,
2000, 2001. Yeah, he's great.
and he's playing another kind of eccentric, lab. But this time instead of a cop, he's a lab technician.
Yeah, he's the guy in charge. He had kind of a brief movie run. Before this, he was the lead in To Live and Die in L.A. from William Friedkin, which
Oh,
is
yeah.
which is a cop movie that I still need to see.
Same.
And then obviously this didn't do well. So he's like off and on some stuff here and there, and then once he gets CSI, like that's just kind of the rest of his career. As it goes many times.
And he's the only, and his name in that show is Gil Grissom. I remember that because everybody just calls him Grissom. And he dates someone that looks 20 years younger than him.
Yeah, it's fine.
No, CSI was kind of an underrated crime show. Like they actually had character stuff.
It did. Well, I mean, it was pretty big when it came out. Oh, and then hey, it's Groundhog Day guy is here. That's what I know him from. Bill Murray's cameraman in that movie. He's just one of the guys here.
I gotta watch that
Wait
movie
a
again.
minute.
I did not
Yeah.
recognize him.
Yeah, I don't actually know if I've seen that all the way through.
Oh, it's a good movie. And I think like some of these characters are like from the book and are in other adaptations. But they're just like one scene parts here.
This stuff gave me a lot of Zodiac vibes, just the
Yeah.
messing with the killer through the newspaper, trying to bring him out of the dark thing.
David Fincher would make a killer Hannibal movie.
Oh,
I mean,
absolutely.
I would die happy.
Okay.
Why
if
don't
that
we give
Hold-
Hannibal to David
To
Fincher?
David Fincher.
Hold
yeah.
on. Hold on. Did anybody recognize? I don't know if he's going to be on camera again, but the one guy that's sitting next to Will Graham.
I can't say I did last time I rewatched this.
Noah, did you catch it?
No, but I don't know if they're gonna show him again. Is
I
this
don't
the
know if they're
guy
going to show him
standing up
again.
right now.
No, it was the guy that was sitting next to him. It's the butler from Scary Movie 2.
Wait, really?
Yeah,
That's amazing.
right there.
I haven't
So
seen
now
Scary
he's sitting
Movie
next to the woman.
Oh
He's sitting.
no!
Do you recognize him? I was like, wait a minute, is that? So I had to Google it to be sure. Yeah, it's him. I was like, wait a minute, that can't be who that is.
Robert, you haven't seen Scary Movie 2?
I have not.
You got to take
fun.
his. Take
Oh,
his
that's not
strong
true. Five
hand.
exists.
Yeah, I was gonna say, come on. Do you think he's gonna offer Will Graham his strong hand?
No. We'll cover that movie in the future.
I mean, Robert has to see all of them.
Oh, I think I was talking about the same guy. the
Oh.
guy I mentioned who's in Groundhog Day. I think
he's in
that's him.
Okay.
Oh, he
yeah.
is in Groundhog's Day. It's Larry.
I
Yeah.
watched that
Yeah.
movie once a very long time ago. I gotta watch it again.
Groundhog Day, Scary Movie 2, equal
Double
quality.
feature.
Yeah.
Tomorrow. Let's do it. No.
And he's apparently in Scary Movie 4, but I don't remember him in that one.
Well, it says it's a different character.
Well, he's
Yeah.
in the he's in when they do the parody of that Shyamalan movie. I forget what it's
Oh,
called.
do they do a happening bit?
No, it's
Or-
I think it might be The Village.
Okay.
Or
Well, they also
Lady in
do
the
that.
Water,
They
one
also
of
do.
those.
That one does The Happening too, because that's the one where Charlie Sheen. Or no, it's not The Happening. That's no. I'm thinking of 3.
Yeah. 3 does Signs and The Ring, and then 4 does some other Shyamalan movie, War of the Worlds and The Grudge,
And Saw. Don't forget Saw.
and Saw, of course.
Like,
But
because Scary Movie 4 is what, 06? Like 5 years late to the party on that one.
Yeah, exactly.
but
Rabbit's like, let's
I
get back
recognize
to
this
this
guy too.
one perfect example though of a detail that is elaborated more on in the remake and in the book that I'm sure John thought about. It's the why he's called the Tooth Fairy, like these bite marks he leaves in. And then the payoff later, it's that's not his real teeth. He has like this other set of dentures he puts in that we get in one scene. So like that is a payoff you get in this movie, but I know in the book you get a whole backstory for where those teeth come from, and then the other movie kind of elaborates. It's just details
Oh,
like
I
that with the
mean,
Tooth Fairy. You get a lot more
and you get to
than you get in
see
the
him do it. And that one scene is horrifying.
version. Yeah. This fucking guy, this squirrely Freddy Lounds guy, this fucking douchebag. I'd punch that guy in the face
He's
if I
not on
could.
screen yet for me.
Uh,
He's showing up
What scene are
soon.
you watching?
There he is. They were just thought
Okay.
yeah, here.
You just
I
didn't
think
see
we're
his
only
face.
a few. Yeah.
Yeah, this fucking douchebag. If I saw him today, I'd punch him in the face. This fucking
I
what's his name?
miss I miss Philip Seymour
Stephen Lang.
Hoffman.
This fucking what's his name? Stephen Lang. I could take you in a fight, Stephen
Whoever
Lang.
he is.
You fight. What has Stephen Lang been in? Oh my god.
He's never amounted to... Oh wait.
You guys know who Stephen Lang is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
He
he's
he's a
in.
fucking buff guy in
Isn't he the killer in?
Don't Breathe.
And don't
Yeah,
Yeah, he's fucking jacked, and here he's the skinny asshole with bad hair.
I also just watched Tombstone recently, and he's in that
Yeah,
too.
that's what I was thinking of Stephen Lang. No, I do like him a lot in this, but yeah, I do prefer Philip Seymour Hoffman. He's just such an asshole.
I didn't realize when watching the Hannibal show that the Freddy character now was supposed to be this character. That's wild.
Does she also get set on fire in a wheelchair?
Possibly. I haven't seen the Red Dragon season, so that's possible. Because that's another case where they're kind of setting up characters. Because I think she's in it from season 1. And season 1 and 2 are both just original material.
He just said the name of the Oh wait.
What are we, some kind of manhunter?
Manhunter is a lot more of a generic title. That's the one criticism I'll lob at this movie.
It's so generic that when Noah told me he was watching it, I was like, "What's that?"
Yeah. I was like, the movie we're watching?
Well, what I like about it is that at least makes it easier to tell for people
Yeah.
to know which version you're talking about. That's nice.
That's true. Yeah, no, it's like, I'm watching Manhunter, and for a second there, I was thinking of that like Netflix documentary that got really popular there for a minute. And I was like, that can't be it. What is that?
What the Fincher show?
Yeah,
Mindhunter.
Oh, was it Mindhunter? Yeah. Okay,
Mindhunter, yeah,
close enough. They kept the paper name the same.
Oh, that's cool. Now, I assume this is from the book, so I'm not gonna say this is a major criticism. It is funny that they make up all these lies about the Tooth Fairy to get his attention and get him to go after Will. But then he goes after the reporter guy instead. It's like nobody thought of that. Nobody thought, hey, maybe we should keep tabs on that guy.
Yeah, I don't remember the book because it's been so long, but since this is in both versions, I'm assuming that it's just what happened to the book. And no, it is much more horrifying in Red Dragon version.
Oh, okay. In the movie too, or the book?
In the movie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the movie he gets glued.
Yeah, he's like glued to the wheelchair and like kind of mentally and physically tortured for a bit.
Hmm. That is in this version too. It's just a lot more brief.
Okay. I just remember the
Uh,
wheelchair burning.
Yeah. And I think we're about to get to that scene, but
First, we're gonna beat up this poor jogger. Who's gonna be traumatized.
um, but I do like that how that scene cuts away right before the gruesome stuff happens, just because I don't know, it's a lot more effective that way.
I think it's great. That's what's interesting. Is Red Dragon does play up the horror more. It is more of a horror movie. But in some ways, I do find the Tom Noonan version of this killer, I do find him creepier just because you know so little about him and he gets less screen time. You just never know
Yeah.
what's going on with him. Ray Fiennes is a lot more tragic and sympathetic, which I
So
like.
what I'll say about that is I kind of have a little bit of mixed feelings on it because I found him really disturbing.
Mhm,
But I think I was also missing a bit more like character stuff with him.
mhm.
But I don't know. I don't know if that's fleshed out more in the other version.
No, definitely.
It is the big scene that's missing is that Robert is that first scene with him where you get those like audio cues of him like living through a childhood memory or something, and it's like,
Mhm.
oh, like this guy never had a good life.
Yeah, like
Okay.
his grandmother. Like clearly, and of course, this is the first of these books. I don't think it's a stretch to say that Psycho was probably an influence
Yeah,
on this writer.
Oh, absolutely.
Um, and yeah, part of the backstory with this killer is that he was abused by his grandmother.
which in the Red
Okay.
Dragon movie is paid off in kind of an unintentionally funny scene where Ed Norton starts saying some of those same things
Yes,
to his son.
Oh no. Oh no.
and but like the teeth, the dentures, I think those are supposed to be his grandmother's. Uh,
Okay.
Yeah,
so it's
I
Yeah,
I
I
much
also
prefer the
missed some
Ralph
things
Fiennes
with the
version
dentures
just
in this
because
movie.
he's more fleshed out. The problem with leaving something up to your imagination, sure, it's creepier, but then I don't really understand him. He's just a generic bad guy.
hmm.
Yeah,
Well, I think what
that's my thing is that like I find it way more effective when they leave it up to the imagination.
and
But
for me, a lot of the praise just goes to Tom Noonan's performance. I think he just really
He's gonna
sells this
sell you some
character.
nuke.
all right, now here we're at the jogger scene, and when I was watching this with my
Uh,
friend,
Okay, so I'm way ahead of you.
Noah's way behind us. We're already past the
oh
jogger scene.
oh really? Are you
Yeah,
at the
we're at the
torture scene?
wheelchair torture
Yeah,
scene.
Okay, well,
it's fine.
what? Anyway, um, when they get him, well, there's the shot of him running in slow motion, and I think I had made a joke like, "Oh, look, he's running in slow motion." But then when they get him, there's a line where someone is like, "Why were you running in slow motion?" I was like, "What?
That was
that
a weird fourth wall breaking.
that didn't happen in the universe of the movie." Anyway,
One thing I will give you though, Robert, is I think his makeup in this movie is much more effective. Ralph Fiennes just has kind of a weird
Mhm,
scar on his face.
mhm. Yeah, they both have the scar. Here it's just a bit more pronounced. In his weird hair. He's dressed more weird. Um, but yeah, this is the iconic "Do you see" scene, which I think is creepy in both versions. But John, we were
yeah,
just talking over it, but like the painting they showed of the red dragon, they showed the other one from the front, and that's what they had tattooed on his chest. So that's the angle they went for this version. It was just cut out. Um, so that again, it's just interesting that
Was
each
he?
movie went with a different painting.
Did he show him any of the bodies of the victims? Because that's what makes the Red Dragon one
He
effective. It's
did.
like, do you see what their change, like what I'm doing?
Mhm. Yeah, they did. The red dragon one just draws it out more. And then what I wanted to talk about with the "Do you see" sequence is it was famously parodied on South Park, which is one of my favorite South Park clips. but I don't know when that episode aired. I don't know if that's before or after the Red Dragon movie, so I don't know which version it was inspired by. That there's just a famous "Do you see" bit with the slideshow, and I'm like, wait, which movie was it looking at? I don't know because I don't know when that episode aired.
Could be either. I can see it more being the Red Dragon version, but I don't know.
Probably, but
I think I might have found
those
it.
those are the type of guys though where one of them may have seen this movie and then just
So I think I found it. It was December 8th, 2004.
okay, so probably Red Dragon.
Local police can become convinced that Eric Cartman has psychic abilities, which Cartman exploits for personal gain, much to the ire of Kyle. Yeah, it says parody of several films, including Red Dragon.
Do you see? Do you see?
Yeah, I was just really confused when he was revealed here because I was expecting The Rock to show up.
Well, yeah, that'll be in the next remake.
Tooth Fairy. Yeah, he's the Tooth Fairy, right?
Yeah.
Also, Tom Noonan is an actor who's just a really tall guy in real life, so that automatically adds to the performance. He was Frankenstein's monster in Monster Squad.
He was.
Is he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I gotta rewatch that. I've only seen it once, but
Add it to the Tom Noonan marathon.
He's
Yeah.
he's also every character in that stop motion movie Anomalisa, except for the two main
Oh,
characters.
really?
Yeah.
wow.
That's interesting.
Well,
It's
I wanna
a
see that.
choice.
I just pulled up his Wikipedia page as you were saying that. I noticed that Anomalisa, and he's just credited as everyone else.
No, I'm pretty sure it's like Richard Gere, Jennifer Jason Leigh, and then Tom Noonan, everyone else.
No. This scene is great. They do a really good job building it up where it's like, what's he gonna see? Like, what's gonna happen? With the parking garage scene, Noah. But
oh yeah.
You did not expect him to roll into
Alright.
on fire.
I got another story, yeah, because I had to go do something in the middle of the movie, so I paused it right before that scene, and then when we came back and watched it, that was the first thing we saw, and my sister walked into the room like, "What are you guys watching?"
Hey, it's for work.
I was like, "Yeah, don't worry about it." But no, I love that scene.
It's like, sorry, Stephen Lang. Tough break.
I should probably just skip ahead. Hold on. I don't know what's happening.
How are you watching this, Noah?
I'm watching it on Prime.
Do you
I
have
was
any
just
comments?
I wonder if you're watching the extended cut, but I'm not sure.
How long is your movie?
It was like exactly 2 hours.
Yeah, that's just
Okay,
the theatrical cut. Because the extended cut is only 2 hours and 4 minutes.
Did you guys just get to when the wheelchair hits the?
No, we're past
No,
that.
we're past that.
Okay, what part are you?
Will's son is asking is it.
Okay,
Mom, like, what's
the
going on?
grocery store. Oh no.
No.
Okay.
No, they're in their
Don't get too
house.
far.
The police. He just gets like the end of the movie.
I want to talk about the grocery store scene when we get there.
That's really good. You're like, okay, so Will is shooting at the Tooth Fairy. Is that where you guys are at?
Okay, so they're on the beach. They just had the freeze frame and the credits are rolling.
No, I do like how suspenseful the sequence is, where you're like, oh god, who's gonna show up?
Robert, is the T-Rex going to show up?
I hope so.
You think the Lost World ripped off this movie?
Yes.
Oh God, it's the T-Rex.
Oh, worse, it's a scary man.
The scary
I
door.
don't trust. I don't trust these cops, lady.
Okay, remind me because I know the cops are here. Did we get the scene where Hannibal just gives the Tooth Fairy the address?
Yes.
Okay.
Or no, I mean, like, yeah, we set that up.
I mean, I know he got the address, but did we see him actually print it?
No, that was off screen, but like it was implied that they did set it up.
It's so weird that you take that stuff and put it off screen.
But stuff like his family going to witness protection, you know, this is the stuff that we spend more time on in this version than the other one. And she is a refreshingly sympathetic wife. They don't do the cliche argument stuff. Like they don't have the big fight or anything. It's like they're just a nice, loving
Yeah.
couple. That's kind of refreshing. Can we get that Stephen Lang spin-off movie, The Tattler? Can we get that prequel?
Well, now it
But he's
would have
played
to
by
be
Stephen
about
Lang.
the. Now it would have to be the Hannibal version, so it'd be the woman.
Okay, Noah, we're at the grocery store scene.
Wait, I gotta skip ahead.
Damn.
All right, here we go.
This is like when we were
Um,
watching Harry Potter all over again.
Yeah, except it's me this time. I don't know
Yeah.
why. But because you're watching on Prime, right, John?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what the problem is. Yeah, but no, this is just a really well performed scene.
I
And
love
this
scenes
is the
like
most.
this. It's just like,
This is the most backstory you get.
yeah. I love stuff like this where you just see like what products looked like at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the other thing I was going to talk about. Just all of the old logos in the
Wars
background.
Bowls.
Do you want some snack packs?
No, I don't think I do.
Also, I think there's a few moments when it's, cutting back and forth between them, like shot, reverse shot, where they've stopped walking forward, but they're standing behind a different background, so they've like teleported between cuts.
Golden Grams. That's an Easter egg.
Yeah.
Will Graham.
And coming up, you see,
Five
yeah,
one.
right here, Count Chocula and Blueberry. So this movie takes place during Halloween.
I don't think
Oh, here we
it's
go.
the '80s, but Kix is still the same. Like it's never changed.
No, but this is a big scene with Will and his son that's not in the other version that I really like here. It's very
Okay.
mature the way it's taught, where his son is kind of weirded out by his dad, but also wants to ask these questions like, "Why were you in the hospital? Like, what's going on?" And it's a very mature conversation about
It's
mental
not in
health.
in Red Dragon.
No. There might have been a brief exchange like with his wife, but his son's like barely in it.
We'll
Like
see.
they talk
Because
about
I
it.
vaguely remember Ed Norton having to explain to somebody why he was in the hospital.
But this is the stuff with his family that I really like this version.
Yeah, this is the good stuff.
Oh yeah, right here when it cuts back to the
Yeah.
kid. Clearly.
Oh my god.
Then it cuts back to him, and they haven't moved.
No, he has moved.
No, they have moved, but we didn't see them move. They
Yeah.
moved between editing.
They're in a simulation, Noah. This is Michael Mann telling us that this was actually a simulation.
Oh my god!
You have to pay attention.
It's like Robert and I always say when we're watching a slasher film. In a slasher, they're killed by the editing. Here, they were moved by the editing.
They be moved.
Okay. So, because I know Noah drinks coffee occasionally when he wants to die.
Yes.
Robert, are you a coffee drinker at all?
No, I'm not a coffee drinker.
Instant coffee might be the worst thing we've ever created as men, as human beings, and it needs to just all be eradicated. It's disgusting. I know it's like I don't care.
What even is instant coffee?
Yeah.
It's so. I mean, it's in the title. It's instant coffee. So instead of having to brew it,
Yeah.
you just take spoons of it and dump it in hot water, mix it up, and you've got a cup of coffee.
But you
Yeah.
need the instant hot water to go with it.
So it's like hot chocolate.
It's like hot chocolate but coffee. It's disgusting.
Because the name instant coffee is funny to me because now we have stuff like Keurig where you can get it pretty instantly.
Yeah. It was Keurig before Keurig, except Keurig makes a decent cup of coffee.
Exactly.
It's
Not
killing.
even creamers
It's gotta
can
stop,
help it.
Noah.
It's
This
stop.
scene is kind of the closest they get to like an argument, but it doesn't do the typical thing like you were saying earlier, Robert.
Yeah, and you do get the scene in the other version. It's just a lot more brief. And then we randomly cut to Will teaching his wife how to shoot a gun. And it's just clunky setup for the end of that version.
Oh, that's her Killer Croc moment. She gets to shoot someone.
I mean, that makes sense that he'd teach her how to shoot.
No, like I totally get it. It's just very random and brief. She's kind of a non-character in that version.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to reread the books. I don't know if that's a Brett Ratner thing or just they're just straight adapting that material.
Yeah, we'll get to it when we get to that commentary. That's the one part of that ending that I assume was changed for the movie, but I could be wrong.
Well, there's the thing they do later here, which is a drastic difference.
Yeah, the climax in that the climax in that version is much closer to the book.
Does anyone else just sit at a window when it's raining, contemplating life?
Yes.
Putting your hand on the window.
That's what Robert does while we're playing video games. He's just like, "What am I doing with my life?"
I wish they had him like drawing a smiley face, and then it just keeps going. It gets really weird.
William Peterson was going to be the comedian in Michael Mann's version of The Watchmen.
I'd watch that. Gotta find you, goddammit. No, this is very Michael Mann, just having a character blankly staring at something. We're just sitting on it. Yeah.
Well, this
is all over his Miami Vice movies.
This is every Batman movie when Harvey Dent shows up, because you got the face half in shadow. Because we gotta do that. I am liking his Will Graham more on a second viewing.
I'm just sorry, this guy's glasses.
I want them. Are you saying the serial killer is weird, Noah?
Hey, what decade was this movie made in?
The 60s.
Oh, okay.
No, but that is one thing I like about this version more is I can see why this guy doesn't think anybody will ever like him. Because he's kind of weird. He's pale and kind of strange looking. Ralph Fiennes' version is Ralph Fiennes with a scar. Like, come on.
Yeah.
I love that John's like, oh, it makes sense that this guy thinks no one will love him because he's fucking ugly.
Yeah.
I mean, you said it, not me.
But it makes sense that it would take a blind person to fall in love with this guy.
Whoa! Why making fun of him like that? Only a blind person could love him.
We love you, Tom Noonan.
No, but I mean,
But
he's
yeah,
definitely got some makeup on to change his face.
yeah, and like his hair's weird. His wardrobe is a choice.
Are you saying bald people are weird?
Yes.
This bald man is.
But in this version, like they do wait a long time before we shift to his POV, and I do really like that stuff. But again, in the Red Dragon movie, you get a lot more screen time for this character, and it's a lot more like this relationship's a lot more fleshed out in the other version. So that stuff I do prefer.
This is
in
why I
Red
want to
Dragon.
watch Hannibal season 3 because I think there's a middle ground between both films where it's like, oh, this is kind of the perfect way to adapt this material. And if anybody was going to do it right, it's probably that show.
Yeah, of course. Like Noah, this what's her name? This blind lady here, Reba, I think. I do like the actress in this. I do like this version of this character. But in Red Dragon, you spend a lot more time with that version. Like this relationship, we take much more time with, and that stuff I do prefer.
Yeah, because
This happens very fast.
Yeah,
So-
it does happen really fast, and we'll get to it later. I think the way that he turns on her is a little contrived, but we'll get to that.
That bit, see that bit I actually like, but we'll get to it.
I like to that, Noah, because it's all in his head. He's seeing things that aren't there.
Yeah.
But real quick, Noah, do you recognize her?
Not really, no.
Okay, so that she's been in a couple things, but what you would mostly know her from is Eve Archer from Face Off, who is like either married or related. I can't remember at the moment to Nick Cage's character.
Okay, I'm gonna have to watch Face Off again because I don't remember.
And then it's funny that I mentioned these movies before, but she's also in the Bourne movie.
Oh, there you go. I should finally watch those.
You should. I mean, I can only speak for the first three because that's the only ones I've seen, but I remember that being pretty good.
You didn't watch the Jeremy Renner one?
No, I do want to see the big comeback one with him.
The fifth
I
one.
heard that wasn't great.
But
Look,
we got a meme out of it.
Yeah,
It was
We
worth
did.
it for the meme.
Jesus Christ, it's Jason Bourne.
because those books are weird. I don't know if you know this, Noah. That original author writes just that trilogy, and then years later they start getting new writers to write new Bourne books, and like they're still making Bourne books. So that's what those other book movies are adapting. Is just somebody else writing this character.
Oh, okay. So wait, was the Bourne Legacy the Jeremy Renner one that was based on a book?
Very loosely.
Very loosely.
Okay.
The Jeremy Renner character was made up for the movie to replace Matt Damon's character because Matt Damon didn't want to do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Imagine this is your first date. This is crazy.
Dude, I love this scene, and I actually prefer this scene in this version.
Really?
Tom Noonan, this Tooth Fairy guy, he's kind of weird, but he's got game. You should have more confidence.
I
It's a
mean-
hell of a first date.
Pulling out, going to
Fucking
pet
tiger?
a sedated tiger.
Motherfucking tiger? And this is in both versions. But, yeah, I think this scene is wonderful.
I love the like
'Cause when I-
jungle music they chose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I was first watching this, I was like, "Wait, is that a taxidermy tiger?" And then it
No,
blinks. I was like, "Oh no!"
That's a real sedated tiger. And I think the guy there is just like an actual vet that they just used for this scene. Like, that's not an actor.
The actress that
Except-
plays the blind woman in the Red Dragon version, she was just in Dune Prophecy, a show nobody watched.
Oh, yeah.
Is that Emily Watson?
Correct.
Yes. She's also in Corpse Bride. I didn't know that.
But no, this scene is great. Like when she listens to its heartbeat.
She's looking for a heartbeat. Whoa.
They might as well play that song in this movie. But John, earlier, I'm glad you mentioned though uh, this character like wanting to change and his fascination with the Red Dragon and stuff. Again, a lot of stuff that's very similar in Silence of the Lambs. We have a serial killer who wants to transform himself.
Yes.
Like it's a lot of the same ideas.
What I like about this version, and I think on a story level, I prefer this version, is I like that his goal is a lot loftier. Like he sees himself, because a lot of this isn't in this movie from what I remember. Although apparently I missed some stuff. But no, the idea is he is turning into the Red Dragon. He is becoming something bigger than human
Okay.
uh, by killing these people. Whereas in Silence of the Lambs, it's like I just don't like being a dude.
Well, this I didn't really get all of that, but it struck me more as like, oh, he just wants to be loved and accepted.
Yeah,
That's
I
what
think
This
that's
version kind of
what
doubles down on that.
they play into
Whereas
that more. It seems, yeah.
in Red Dragon, we still get this stuff, and like he does have a relationship with this woman, but they make it clear like he has loftier goals. Like he sees himself becoming a god.
which is why the tattoo scene is really important.
And
that's
then
what it-
they also the stuff with this woman because you mentioned you don't like how that goes down. That is completely different. In Red Dragon. He does not kill her.
Well,
Okay.
he doesn't kill her in this, but he does try to.
I thought he killed her.
No, I'm pretty sure
No, I
she
think
survives.
Yeah.
Okay.
But this scene is in both versions and is very creepy because of course she's blind, she doesn't see what he's watching,
She doesn't
and
know what's going on.
it's
Yeah.
tapes of his next victim. It's like that's such a creepy scenario. And both versions execute it really well.
Yeah.
It's so you just feel so gross watching this.
Yeah, Tom Noonan, you're kind of messed up. But no, one thing that's different though, it's in the other version. This doesn't all happen on the first date. Like there are multiple scenes spread out throughout the movie.
Okay.
Like the tiger scene, and then this scene. Like it's not all the first date. Like it is spread out more. So you do spend more time fleshing out that relationship.
'Cause I like how
Here,
this
she's just
plays
kind of
out.
horny.
Yeah. I like how this plays out overall, but it did feel a bit rushed.
Mhm.
But then I don't know because it's not the main focus of the movie, so
Right.
I'm fine with it ultimately. But yeah, now she immediately just goes in.
Yeah. Yeah, in both versions, she's like the one to instigate the
This
physical
this
intimacy.
version
It's like,
also just straight up just has the sex scene. Red Dragon just kind of fades to black over
yeah,
I
and
didn't
it's
expect to see
it's
a
really
sex
awkward.
scene with the killer in this movie.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a love story. That's how they fucked up the marketing.
This
They should have marketed this as more of a romantic comedy. She's blind,
Romantic.
and he and he
and
is
he's a serial killer.
Okay, but real talk though, you could make that horror film.
Oh, totally.
I'd watch that.
This really awkward, fully clothed sex scene.
But I do think Tom Noonan is great here, and I think does communicate a lot of this character's personality, like the pain and conflict he's going through. You do read that all on Tom Noonan's face. It is there, where he's just like, this was supposed to happen. I'm supposed
This
to become
wasn't
a
in
red
the plan.
dragon.
He didn't count on being happy.
Yeah, I didn't. The next scene is him crying at Tombstone.
Crying in front of the red dragon.
Yeah, and this is one of the very 80s songs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
This is a very Miami Vice scene where they'll
Mhm.
just like let a song play out in its entirety over a scene.
I think this guy's got some issues.
Oh yeah, to say the least. But yeah, I do have kind of mixed feelings on the killer in this movie. Just I think ultimately I like him and I like how disturbing he is, but I could have used a little bit more character stuff in there.
That's
But
fair.
then
And
again, I
you
think
did get a
if
lot.
but then I think if you explain too much, it becomes less scary. I don't
Right.
know.
But scenes like this, I think he really captures the pain this character's going through and
Yeah,
how conflicted he is. You do just get that all on his face.
yeah. So
Um,
there's enough there, but it's
yeah,
still
like
felt a little empty.
Buffalo Bill is definitely scarier and I think more interesting. But what I like about the Tooth Fairy, more so in the Red Dragon version, is that he is meant to be a bit more tragic and sympathetic. Where it's very clear, like, oh, this guy doesn't want to do what he's doing. Like it's not full split personality, but it is like just this compulsion
Well,
he
it's
has
funny
that he
Yeah.
can't
because you
control.
guys were quoting Phantasm a minute ago, but we do get kind of a straight up Batman scene in Red Dragon where he's like pleading with the
Oh yeah.
painting not to make him do this.
Yes, no,
Oh
that is
yes,
correct.
I was just joking about
Yeah,
like him pleading with the painting.
and here we have another.
Look at
now,
that
now we have
beautiful
a sunrise.
sunrise.
Ah, I love that cinematography.
This movie's so sexy looking.
We get that. That's going to be our next short. No, just saying this movie looks sexy.
Yeah, you can clip that. I don't care.
The thumbnail is Tom Noonan with the mask on.
No, it'll be Tom
It's
Noonan in that
ridiculous.
awkward sex scene.
I wanted to play the Tooth Fairy. He's a very sexy character.
He's a very the thing about the Tooth Fairy is a very sexy character.
Look at that boat. Big boat from Crystal Lake.
Oh yeah,
Under New York.
Jason Takes Manhattan's just playing off in the background.
That'd be canon.
I wish I was
I buy
watching
that these
Jason
take
Takes
place in the
Manhattan
same
right now.
universe. No, that opening montage, like the opening credits sequence of Jason Takes Manhattan, is just a Miami Vice scene.
It is. Yeah, that song is very Miami Vice.
You're gonna find the tiger tracks.
But I should have mentioned up top, Noah, the way I'm watching this movie, of course, is the official the Hannibal Lecter collection with
Oh,
Manhunter, Silence of the Lambs, and Hannibal.
oh, so that's
The complete
totally
trilogy.
that's totally an official release there, isn't it?
No,
It's
it's
out here
official.
buying
I don't know why.
bootlegs.
Is it?
No, this is official. I bought this on Amazon.
Okay, no, because that surprises me that this movie is even collected with those other ones.
Yeah, okay, so they're all Dino De Laurentiis except Silence of the Lambs, which is here, but they didn't include Red Dragon, which I had to buy separately.
Which is
But is Dino
actually
De Laurentiis and actually
and,
canon with those?
and canon with the
Why?
other ones, yeah. Like what? That is really
That is a
bizarre.
0 out of 10 set. It doesn't have Hannibal Rising, which everyone knows is the best one.
Okay, yeah, that's true. Yeah, Hannibal Rising is never collected in any box sets, but yeah, this is currently like the if you want to get this movie, it's a very bare bones release, but it's the only way to get it. All the other copies are like out of print, like the Scream Factory version, and on the back, not in the movie, but you do see Tom Noonan with the Red Dragon tattoo.
Oh,
Like I said, they did shoot that scene, but it was cut
okay.
for some reason. So
That
there
is
you
the
go.
most bare bones release I have ever seen.
Yeah, no, there's no special features or anything.
Guys, Hannibal's back.
Yeah, that's our last Lecter scene. Yeah, I do really, even though it's over the phone, I really like kind of how calm this conversation is. You feel like they're interacting differently because it's over the phone, right? Where it's more chill than what we saw before, and it's like, why does it feel good? Like, because you get to be God. You get to feel what God feels like. This is why
This
the
is
king
like the
does
only
this.
reference that we get to that.
Mhm.
I like the idea that it's just a chill, laid back conversation about murdering people.
Also, we talked over it. there was a building we saw way in the distance where you could see the light of an elevator going up. That was deliberate. Michael Mann had a crew over there
Wow.
to be cued when to take that elevator up. Now you just do that on a green screen, but in the 80s you had to do that for real.
Also, I love that shot of Peterson just standing in the rain before he walks
Looks
into
great.
the room.
I thought you were gonna say you like the shot of Hannibal, like with his feet up.
I love that shot too.
Can we get Quentin Tarantino's Silence of the Lambs?
No.
It would be a lot bloodier. No, this is the
Clarice
scene.
just drops the N-word everywhere.
Oh god. No, this is the big scene though, where we kind of get in Will's head, seeing what he's seeing, putting himself in the space of the killer. Like, I don't know how they did that effect with the lady with the mirrors in her eyes, but it looks really cool. It's very surreal sequence.
Yeah, it looks rough. I'm not a criticism. Just that hasn't aged well.
For me, it's charming.
I thought it wasn't a criticism.
Stop criticizing this movie.
I like this bit of music right here.
This song's cool.
And oh, that two-timing bitch. She's cheating on Tom Noonan.
How dare a man help her with something?
Well, what I like about the idea of this
He
is
sees it, but
what I like about the idea of this is you do see a lot of relationships like this where when you're dating someone, like suddenly they don't want you to be anywhere near like a member of the opposite gender,
opposite sex. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that they make it very clear that what he's seeing is this very romantic, heightened, intimate moment, and what actually happens is, oh no, he was just like picking a thing out of her hair or something. Like it was
Very
not
mundane.
there's nothing romantic going on with the two of them, but that's not how Tom Noonan's character sees it.
Because he's crazy.
You just call him the Blob.
And you just call me Blob. Yeah, so Noah, this is in the other version, and he will kidnap her. The climax just plays out very differently in the other version. This is much more simplified and shortened.
I didn't realize Red Dragon brought back the screenwriter from Silence.
It did, yeah. And again, I think that was part of the reaction to Hannibal because that movie was so polarizing. They were like, maybe let's get the silent screenwriter back.
Because he turned down Hannibal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but also
car apart.
But also, this guy you do feel a lot more bad for in this version because like he's just a guy. He seems cool, and then when Dollarhide kills him, you're like, oh man, that's not fun. Yeah, for absolutely nothing. Like this guy's fine. In Red Dragon, though, he is a more developed character, but he is clearly romantically interested in her and is more of an asshole. So again, it's not a criticism. It's just in that one they want you to sympathize more with the Ray Fiennes take. So this guy's kind of a douche, and when he dies, like, don't feel bad about it. So again, just comparing and contrasting them is interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, why do you have this pink light in your hallway?
I think part of it for me too is I find the internal struggle that he's going through to be compelling. But then ultimately, the reason that he can't be with this woman is because of himself. But it also, I don't know, it feels like it's not related to the internal struggle. It's just based on some random thing he saw.
Yeah, well, in this version, it's like he ends up changing his mind, and is gonna kill her instead of that family he was targeting.
Yeah.
In the other version, that's not really what's going on. The other version is a
The
lot
other
more
version makes it
complex.
much more clear that, like, ultimately he thinks he's changing into this godlike being, but his ultimate goal at the end is he just wants to be wanted and loved,
Mm.
Yeah.
because of, and that's why they include like the abuse from his grandmother.
But also, he thinks he has to kill her because she's getting in the way of that.
Yeah,
It's that's conundrum. And this scene I love. Again, one of my favorite Will scenes in the movie, where he says, "No, my heart bleeds for this guy when he was a kid. Uh, somebody manufactured a monster out of this child, and that's horrible. But I also hate the man he's become, and I want to kill him." You know, is part of why I love this version of this character. You kind of get that in the version; it's just very brief. But like, this is a scene here I like a lot. Kind of that inner conflict and what it takes to be in that headspace in this position where one half of you will sympathize with this killer, like, oh god, like what must have happened to them to turn them into this monster, and then the other half of you will naturally hate them for these evil,
Yeah.
horrible things they've done. It's just that really interesting dichotomy. What's interesting about this twist is they do show their hand really early because we do see Dollarhide looking at these tapes. They don't hide that from you, but
Right.
like if you're not paying attention, you still might miss that. That's
You could
kind of the
just not be
linchpin in what's
thinking
going
about
on.
it.
Yeah, like no, did this twist play for you? Because I think it's really interesting.
It played for. I mean, yeah, you're right that they show their hand early, and I was picking up on that, but at the same time, it didn't feel like, oh, I'm waiting for the characters to catch up to me. I was still with it as it was going.
I just think it's kind of a clever twist for the time. Like, okay, what is the connection with these families? Like, why is the serial
Yeah,
killer targeting? Like, what is the connection? Oh, the tapes that we've been looking at. That's the
yeah,
connection. And I think it's smart. I think it's thought out the way like this killer is somebody in his job comes across these tapes and looks at and then will
hmm
fixate on people and that's how he picks out his victims. Like that side of it I think is pretty well thought out.
They also don't spell it out for you right before Graham figures it out.
Mhm.
It's like they just show it. They're not like holding your hand or anything. They just show it from the killer's perspective, and then you see Graham figure it out. So it's not
Yeah.
like it's revealing everything to you before the twist happens.
Mhm. Yeah, and this is one of my favorite scenes in the movie, the way he's piecing this together. And then the way the music kicks in. It's very cheesy and very
Yeah,
80s and I love it.
it is, but I have to admit, like I'm into it. Like I don't know, just the timing of the music cue. It's just good. It's just a well crafted scene.
It's good.
It's good.
Good.
You can quote me on that. I said it's good.
put that on the box.
It's also just the culmination of everything with him, all of the scenes of him like getting into the killer's head and saying,
Mm.
"Ah, you did this to them, didn't you?"
Mm.
It's just a cathartic moment.
This is also a twist that only works in the context of the 80s. Because if you wrote the
Yeah.
story now, it's like, yo, you watched their TikToks, didn't you? That's how you knew what their house looked like.
Can we please get
you
the modern day Hannibal trilogy? The
Jesus.
TikToks, Clarice, do they still scream?
you filmed the Fortnite dance, didn't you?
Why is Hannibal in jail? He made memes out of eating people.
I also think the lesson of this movie is these husbands recording these videos. You're filming your wives too much, you pervy guys. So it's really the husband's fault for making these videos when you think about it.
Hey, like
You
we were
agree with
Are
me?
you
saying
saying
earlier,
that Francis Dollarhide is the victim here?
Yes.
like we were saying earlier, the '80s were a very horny time, so it makes sense. I also like the shot of him looking out the window.
Hmm.
This movie's so cool.
I like the shot of him looking out the window. Every Michael Mann movie.
Yeah.
You've seen these films. Yeah, and it's very 80s lingo, but I love it. Again, the way he's like sympathizing or relating. There's like he keeps calling him my man, which is
My
such a
man.
weird choice, but I love it.
Now, you said that Red Dragon plays it a little bit more ambiguous to when it takes place. Do they keep all this stuff with developing the home movies and all that?
Yes. Yeah, they
Okay.
do keep like VHS tape, which is funny. I don't even think it's bad, but the scene when they find like one of the family's VHS tapes, they like open a drawer and it's all Universal movies on
Oh,
VHS
okay.
tapes. You see like Jaws in there, you see E.T. because there's a Universal
Well, yeah, yeah.
movie.
It's just like when
But
Sony
it
has product placement in their movies.
right. But in terms of like hairstyles and fashion and stuff, that movie is very ambiguous.
Modern.
With yeah, modern-ish.
Okay.
Yeah, like I don't remember like 2000s looking cars and stuff, but there's no like it's not a very like oh this is the 80s movie. Again, it's just kind of
Yeah.
vague.
I'm trying to think.
Inagata de Vida.
Vague, but I buy that it's in the 90s.
Sure, I'm not even saying that I don't, but I mean Silence of the Lambs is what like 91. Yeah, it's early 90s.
Oh yeah, it is nice. So, assuming that movie takes place like the year it comes out, Red Dragon would have to take place at the same time because it's literally like right before
Right.
it.
Oh no, he's playing his music.
He's playing his '70s rock.
This
Is
was
this
my
the song?
favorite scene of the movie. I like this song, but also I love a good musical scene, and I love the way they use this song.
Hmm. Is this the song that's like 20 minutes long? So
Yes.
it just
Something like
plays in
that.
real yeah, it just plays in real time.
No,
It's amazing.
Inagata Davida is really long.
It's
That's
just like
awesome.
that over and over.
No, it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, the set design of his place is so weird in this movie. You get stuff of like the moon and Mars, and it's like space. He doesn't want to live on Earth. Like I don't know what to do with it. It's just weird. Because in the book and in the other version, he lives in like a mansion that was his grandmother's or something.
We cut the grandma altogether.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's really nothing about that in this. Because I didn't even pick up on the dentures thing. I don't, if that's in this movie.
All you get is when he puts them in when he's torturing Stephen Lang's character.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he does put them in, and he goes in to bite him, and then we just cut away.
Okay.
But that does happen in this version. And
But
here
we
we
also
have,
get them showing like a clay or like
yeah,
a model of them.
hmm. And here we have as Officer Fisk, weird name. Uh, that
Wilson.
is that is Frankie Faison, who will go on to play Barney, the guard or the orderly in Silence of the Lambs, and the rest of that franchise.
Wait, so is he looking for Vanessa in this movie?
Yep.
Might as well.
Hannibal, you ate Vanessa.
So this actor has technically been in more Hannibal Lecter movies than any other actor. Good for him, I guess.
How do you figure?
Well, because he's in this, and then he's in Silence and Red Dragon and Hannibal. So he's in 4 movies out of 5.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize he was in Hannibal. You just said he was in
Yeah,
Silence of the Lambs.
yeah. There's that whole thing. They had to change it from the book, but there's like an X-ray they needed to get to like locate Hannibal or something. There's something weird they added because okay, remember how in the book Hannibal does he have like an extra finger or
Oh,
something?
you know what? I vaguely remember that.
Yeah. So in the Hannibal book, that's how they're able to locate him, but they didn't do that in the movie, so they had to change it where they're like, well, Hannibal like broke his arm or something, and we need an X-ray to max. Like it's very convoluted.
The only thing I remember about Hannibal is just that the bad guy's plot is to feed Hannibal to pigs.
Yeah, that I think is in both versions
Why did
It
he punch
is.
that mirror in slow motion, man?
because it's cool.
I just like the idea that people have the ability to move in slow motion in this universe.
I like that they can land this jet and he can drive all the way to that place, like in the span of that song.
Oh, I believe it.
But yeah, we really streamline and shorten this climax in this version. Make it more of just a standard shootout.
Like Goofy
Um,
the punches too. Like that's like the weakest punch.
yeah, it's like, am I ahead of you now?
Yes,
God
it's
damn
fine.
it.
Yeah.
Well, and we're gonna get to it in a bit. I do think the final shootout in this is a little clunky.
It's weird.
I don't-
There's a lot
It's
of
weirdly
jump cuts.
edited, yeah.
Yeah, but there's enough
Um,
of them that you know it's deliberate, right? If it was just
I just,
one, it would be weird. But there's a
yeah,
bunch.
I just don't get the thought process behind that choice, but whatever.
It was the '80s. I don't know. We were all high on
uh,
cocaine, Noah.
they were doing a lot of coke.
Will, you're not gonna need that. Just wait for the SWAT guys. No, I have to kill him.
Also, um, also they're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna let's turn our lights off, and then they immediately crash into a tree.
Yeah, that part's weird. It just disappeared. It's like a ghost car. I don't know.
Oh, what happened?
Killed the lights. Oh shit, dude. I can't brake. The brakes are broken.
The brakes, they do nothing. Then you get this scene where the camera smacks on some more branches.
That's
Whoever directed
how
this
you know
is
it's
a
real.
real amateur. Oh yeah.
I hope they get that Rush Hour guy to direct the next one.
Yeah, I hope they get that X-Men 3 guy.
Before that movie exists.
And I was just trying to. I can't think of any more Brett Ratner movies. Tower Heist.
Oh. I remember when I was a kid, when I was seeing advertising for that, I wanted to see it. I just never got around to it. I heard it wasn't very good.
We'll watch it tomorrow, along with Scary Movie 2.
We do have to make Robert watch Scary Movie too.
That is true. Oh, Brett Ratner did that Dwayne Johnson Hercules movie?
Oh, he
Ooh,
did. I forgot
I didn't know
about
that.
that.
That was his
That was
last
the
movie.
That was the same year as that other Hercules movie, which
That
everyone
was
keeps
so
calling
weird.
on.
Like, why did we have two Hercules movies that year?
It happens a lot.
And apparently both of them sucked.
Yeah.
I remember the other one getting more memed on.
Mhm.
I think the Dwayne Johnson one just kind of came and went.
Yeah.
Yeah, Red Dragon is probably Brett Ratner's best movie, but I do like the first two Rush Hour movies.
Yeah. I like him too.
Leave it to
Oh, no, it's a
fucking
Rush Hour
hipster Noah over here. Oh, this movie's good, so I'm gonna hate it.
We have Shane Black at home. But here we are. I forgot he
Stop
throws
it.
them into a fridge.
Yeah, you're way ahead of us.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll shut up.
my favorite. Well, you're already past it, but my favorite scene is when, for no reason,
He
he slow motion
smashes through the window.
jumps through the window. Just shoot him, Will. What are you doing? Like, this scene's amazing.
I love that Inagata Devita picks back up after all this time.
Yes. No, this is the most 80s scene in this movie.
What is this? Friday the 13th Part 4?
John, the band, he's not playing it through a cassette or anything. The band is just in his house.
Yeah.
They know exactly when to kick
I thought
in.
you were going to say the band was in his head, so that's how they know how to kick in.
Or yeah, that too.
But for some of the gunfire in this sequence, like, uh, uh they didn't have many rigs and stuff. They would just smash shit on camera. Like, they just smashed some bottles on the ground to simulate gunfire, and some pieces of glass went into William Peterson's leg.
Ow.
Ooh.
So, like, yeah. Also, I love the way how casual Tom Noonan is with that shotgun. Just one-handed. Like, I respect it.
He's got good aim.
Robert, when are we going to get Michael Mann directing a Friday the 13th movie?
I'd watch it.
I mean, he should have done Jason Takes Manhattan. That would have been the coolest Friday movie.
No, imagine him directing Jason. Imagine him directing Jason Goes to Hell.
I'd watch it too. I need that movie of just Jason blankly staring at sunsets, contemplating life.
Yeah.
Standing in the rain in front of a glass window. Beautiful sunset in the background.
Yeah. But yeah, some of the jump cuts of that shootout are really awkward.
Yeah, and they
It's a
play with the
choice.
frame rate too, and it's
Yeah.
just like, why?
It's like, one thing though that is in this that's not in the other version that I'm pretty sure is from the book is Will getting cut on the face. They don't do that in the other version for some reason, but I think that is from the book. I think Will's face gets pretty fucked up in this.
Do you think that's a Norton thing?
Maybe. That doesn't sound like a Norton thing to me. That sounds more like a studio. Well, if we make a sequel, we don't want to cut up his face thing. That seems like something Norton would be game for.
Yeah,
What say
because I
you,
know
Noah?
that I mean, I know Norton has
Difficult to
been
work
known
with.
to be difficult to work with. I don't think it doesn't seem like he has much of like an image problem with that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Not like The Rock or Vin Diesel refusing to lose fights
Yeah.
in movies. I don't think Norton really has that.
Because when
Yeah,
Norton's
I don't
difficult
know.
to work with, it's more about him like caring about the material, from what I've heard.
Perfectionist.
Right.
Wanting to be more in control.
I'm still so sad that he is no longer our Hulk.
He's my favorite.
Yeah. I
We
don't
wouldn't
even
have
hate Mark Ruffalo, but Norton's better.
we wouldn't have stoned Hulk if Norton stuck around.
Yeah. Yeah, see, John, she survived. She'll be fine.
Why? For some reason, I remember a scene where she gets stabbed. But
She just gets close.
I was watching this at like 2 in the
Boy.
morning and playing video games. So.
boy, this woman's life is kind of ruined. At least her relationship life. She is never sleeping with another man again. Like, you roll the dice, and sometimes you end up with a serial killer.
You know what's
That
interesting
sucks.
too, Robert? I don't know if you had this thought because she's blind and ends up dating a serial killer. Probably accidentally, it becomes kind of the fucked up inverse of like the Thing and Alicia Masters from Fantastic Four.
Yeah, yeah. Well, they're playing with similar themes, just in a very different direction.
The Thing isn't a serial killer.
As far as we know. I love this 80s power ballad heartbeat
Yeah,
so much.
this 80s ass song kicks in.
This could be the end of a Rocky movie, and it's awesome.
I love that whoever that is, it's just like posing for the camera.
That was well.
Yeah,
No,
so
I-
Robert, in the director's cut, there's an extra scene here right before
Okay.
this, which is like the biggest difference.
Interesting. Yeah, here we just go for happy ending, and we see William Peterson in the shortest shorts ever.
I was gonna
Uh,
And it's amazing.
commented on that when I first watched this.
Not the shortest ever, though. There's that one guy, I think in Friday the 13th Part 1. One of the Friday the 13th that has like the shortest shorts to ever exist.
It was the 80s.
All right, now this is an interesting debate to have. What's a more 80s movie, this or Rocky 4?
Well,
Rocky 4.
wins every.
Yeah.
But this hits a lot of the beats to the point of ending on a freeze frame. I love it.
This hits a lot of the beats, but like Rocky 4 is like the 80s movie.
It's about communism.
Rocky
This
stopped
movie's got, like,
communism.
5 montages too.
Yeah, no, that movie's 70% montages. No, I mean I do love this final shot. This final beach shot.
Oh
It's
shit,
glorious.
they want me to watch Hannibal next.
We're gonna do that
I know
instead.
that's on Prime.
We picked such a weird moment to freeze frame. Like the kid like turns around in his mid throw or walk, and it's just it's like an ending of Police Squad.
You expect a dog to run by them or something.
It's like that was Manhunter.
What a fun romp. Oh my god, someone help Robert. He's stuck.
Oh god, it's even creepier. Like he's doing a almost perfect freeze frame, but then his eyes are moving. Like something out of a Scooby Doo movie.
Yeah, like why do we pick that moment to freeze frame? It's so weird. It's like
That's
out
so
of
funny.
context. It's like, is this the end of a baseball movie? What am I looking at?
Yes.
So yeah, I really like this picture.
That's Manhunter.
Manhunter. Men were hunted.
One of the coolest movies ever made.
I wouldn't go that
It's so
far.
cool, bro.
It is pretty good.
Yeah.
All right. So that was our commentary for Manhunter.